a student came to you and said, I want to be a yoga teacher. I don't know anything about the technology. Where should I start?
I wrote a book, The Teaching Yoga with Verbal Cues, and it has like bullet point lists of these technical aspects to an asana. You learn like kind of command language for what to do with your legs and your arms and where your spine and head are positioned. And like, so it really just starts there, this very rudimentary kind of, here's the shape, here's what the limbs do, here's the spinal positioning, and then be able to communicate that, practice it.
Okay, and then what about for breathing?
The diaphragm is the first step, learning the movements of the diaphragm. So being able to feel that in your own body, that's your main breathing muscle. And so because you really are trying to get more ability to use the full capacity of your lungs. So learning about how to work with your diaphragm helps. And then of course, the universal, the ujjayi. So when you really focus on the sound breathing and constricting your throat to make that sound, this is a game changer in terms of opening up the breath and interiorizing your awareness through opening up the breath.
What about philosophy? Like they have no idea, have had no experience with philosophy.
I mean, the texts are obvious, like the Bhagavad Gita and the Yoga Sutras are two to start with, and the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. You could undertake like a systematic study of them, get a teacher and take a course, and that would be a good way to start getting grounded in it. But another way is, I don't know, a little more freeform or almost poetic, which is to like really start spending some time with those texts and writing down, underlining, marking down passages that speak to you. There's 196 Yoga Sutras, right? But for me, I can really boil it down to almost, I don't know, definitely there's my top 20 or my top 10 or even my top 5 that I keep returning to, that keep speaking to me and that I keep working with over and over, like mantras. It's like I repeat those and I contemplate them. And so it's not like you have to study all of the Yoga Sutras or all of the Bhagavad Gita. You can find 5 passages that just like, wow, I want to inquire into that or like really test that out in my practice, go into it that way.
You would like to see more teachers have a grasp on these sort of foundational aspects?
I feel it might be changing slowly, but I have different little sayings or themes, and one is that in general, appreciate the difficulty of like doing the primary series. And I feel like a lot of students and teachers, they get ahead of themselves, take it for granted somehow that the primary series is a formidable achievement if you master that. And just repeating it every day, 6 days a week, is not really that's not enough. It's harder than that. It's like a complex musical score. You really have to break down things and stop and work things out. And also there's modifications and steps and making things suitable for a wider range of people. And so really just having more resources to bring to your teaching than I see. I see people not having enough resources that are readily available. Yeah, like modifying and breaking poses up into steps. These basic things that they don't necessarily just come to you intuitively. It requires like a training and to know like when a student's, the effort that they're making to do a pose every day is that it's beyond their capacity, like that, so that they're not getting the most out of their effort because what they're trying to do is too difficult for them. To have the skill as a teacher to go, oh, okay, hold on. We can back this out. We can find them an easier step that puts them on a progression that's more suitable to where they're at. The template of Ashtanga, it's not meant to just be practiced as is by every student exactly as written. That's not even the goal or how it was put forth. But it gets interpreted that way. Not every asana is for every person. And you could also say not every step in every asana is for every person, right? So even People are going to, a lot of people will do kurmasana or work on dropbacks or what have you. That not everybody's going to go about it the same. And so as a teacher, you got to have the skills and the resources to suit all these different capacities that you're going to encounter with the people that show up to practice with you.
Some of your students, they can read the bodies of their students better than being able to articulate it. And so that's how, why the verbal cues are so important. Mm-hmm. But what if you're a teacher that can articulate it pretty well, but they don't have the skill in reading bodies, like being able to see whether or not the student is actually doing what the cue says?
Well, it takes a lot of practice and observation, for one. It is why I use these asana principles, is because they give you a very reliable way of assessing what's going on. Just even using the body planes, right? You have these 3 body planes that you're constantly referencing, and then, the different parts are what are the skeletal lines, and it goes to the joint function. When you really use the asana principles that I teach, like the foundation first, and that's grounding your legs and arms, and then you can learn to see where there's things are out of alignment or that they're really not matching up. And it's rare, honestly, to rely on a set of principles to do your asana practice and to teach your asana practice. See, and this is what I teach. And when you can rely on the principles, then you can read the body. You can read your own body, and you can read the body of somebody else. It gives you perspective to really see what's happening. And I always ask, what is the vision? Or what is the goal? What is the objective of this posture or this transition? Or I call it the classic or the middle. You start there with what is the ideal? What would you actually be shooting for if you had all the strength and flexibility you wanted to be able to do that? And then from there, you back out, you kind of into steps, and you can see where you are in terms of that middle or that ideal, and then where it starts to veer off course. And so you can observe that in people as well, and then back it out for them to give them an appropriate step that helps them to do something suitable for their circumstance.
Okay, any last words? I don't know if there'd be any last words.
Yeah, no,
In your teacher training that you're teaching in December, are the 3 things that you just talked about, are you going to be teaching those?
I am going to be teaching those, exactly. Those are a big focus, the technology of the 3rd limb and the 4th limb, both, the technology of both of those. I've said that's the bones, the core poses that are found in 1st and 2nd series. And then the breathing into the mechanics of the breathing, and then into the energetic aspects leading to the bandhas. And then I will share with you my top 5 or whatever it is, my top 10 Yoga Sutras, and show you how when you study those, they lead you deeper into the practice, or the other way. When you practice, the meaning of those, or the relevancy of those, keeps being revealed to you, becoming more and more apparent. You can say it's serious in the sense that it's a serious technology, and it has all this healing potential for humanity. You can get very big with it, how medicinal the practice is. But love, joyousness, and even the word fun and humor, and bringing a lot of humanity and just plain enjoyment of the opening up, the exploration and the process. And this I want to emphasize, that there's technical things, and there's some safety involved. Spirituality is very serious in a way, or it's like a discipline, but we're also having fun. We're really coming together around this beautiful practice and enjoying ourselves immensely as we explore.